This is a small clip. Title is Roll with Camera Steady. In other words, we're going to link a camera to a dummy that's linked to this ball, or attached actually to this ball. Then we're going to have a physics kinematic come up and kick the ball, and the camera is going to follow this soccer ball, but it's going to actually follow ball 005, which is a dummy right here that is attached to the actual soccer ball. Soccer ball itself is physics enabled. It's rigid, dynamic, mass is 3, friction 50, damping 50, elasticity 70, sphere, collision margin 0.04. The ball itself, no physics. The actual dummy that this camera is linked to. It is attached to soccer ball kicked. Soccer ball kicked. Subnode, you can do here or here, it doesn't matter. It's just a name for it. It's an OBJ mesh. Okay. Some cases you might have to go to the actual mesh itself. It depends on what you use. But in this one, it's either one. So this has no physics. This does. This is attached to the soccer ball, which is its parent. It only moves with it. It does not rotate, and I take off the scale so it doesn't rescale and hide the soccer ball. Because if I take it off as a dummy, you'll see it's also a ball. But I don't want it in the scene. I don't want it to scale. There's no need for it. So I just take it off. It's a parameter not needed. Within this scene, we also have an infinite plane to keep the ball from falling through. This is an infinite plane. There's an arrow to indicate where it's at. Doesn't matter. It's invisible. It's static. It's also physics capable. This cylinder is what is actually kicking the ball. You'll see it from here, move to here, and the ball will take off. If you open the timeline, you'll notice it's kinematic. I'll do this while I'm here. It's activate, physics, rigid body, kinematic, self-mesh, or you can make it box or sphere or cylinder, whatever you need to make it work for you. Each one of them will give you different options. I just use self-mesh for this one. Doesn't matter. I used a box, it still works. Used a sphere, it still works. It'll give you a different outline on the object that's kinematic and pushing the dynamic object across the field or wherever you're going to send it. So there you go. Those are the physics items. And the soccer ball itself, if we open up the timeline, this is the cylinder. It's got physics enabled. There are physics states you can change, rigid states. I'm not going to be changing those, but that is the actual cylinder that's going to be doing it. If you'll notice, it's got a transform key on it. Here is where it starts, where you see it now, and here is where it ends up, right below this ball. Okay. Currently, I have physics enabled, and this is the physics panel. Rigid body simulation is on. If I turn it off, the ball will still move because it's already got pre-recorded physics to it. If you open up the soccer ball itself and do object related track and look at the animation, it's already got physics, transition curve, linear, time warp. Alright, this is the actual motion that was pre-recorded. When I turn the physics back on using this will get re-recorded. So if I hit stop, I'm going to be running this in by frame mode, which gives you a better result. You can go real time if you like. I prefer by frame. That way I can hit the space bar and stop it when the recording's done to my satisfaction. Your choice. Doesn't matter. You're still going to get the same results. It's just going to be in a slower frame by frame mode. So if I hit stop, this link to dummy camera is what's actually active now. This camera is linked to this ball. This ball will follow the soccer ball when it rolls. It will not move, or it will not rotate or scale, but it will move along with the ball depending on what path it takes. So if I hit play now or spacebar, the action will begin and the ball gets kicked off. Once it stops, hit the spacebar, and if you open up the timeline, this is where we stopped. This is the physics recorded. Now it's baked in. If you want to keep that, turn the physics off either here for the entire scene, or you could turn off the physics for this ball itself. Just open up the physics panel, turn off the physics. That recording will still stay there. Doesn't matter what this cylinder does now. It can go all at once, and the ball is still going to do the same thing it did before, because we turned off its physics to re-record, and it'll stop at the end of this play. That's it. And that's how you record with a camera. Now, if you choose to use another camera, let's say if I take the no link camera and I press play, that kicks off. There it goes. It still works. So if I turn it down like this, here's the actual physics cylinder, hits the ball, ball goes down the field. Doesn't matter where it's coming from. I can have it come down here. I can take this cylinder now and move it here down to the field, and it'll still end up in its second location. Kick the ball. The only difference is the ball will not change its motion because physics is not enabled for it. So if you want to change what the ball has done so far, open up your physics panel, choose the item you want to reactivate, turn it back on, close your panel, and press your spacebar or play, and it will re-record the physics again. You should get a different result this time. See, kicked off to the distance. Okay, it went up in the air that time. If that's what you want, press spacebar, stop. If that's not what you want, then change the location of the ball again, or the cylinder, from its start point. Move it over here, for instance. It's still going to end up at the same spot, second point where it hits the ball, but it's going to come at it from a different angle. Therefore, you're going to get different results. So I press spacebar, and I got hardly anything out of it. So hit stop again. Let's move it. Let's move it to this side. It's still going to end up here, only it's going to come at it at a different angle. Hit spacebar, and it just goes under the ball. Now, if you open your timeline, you want to change it. Change the location here, where that cylinder is going to end up. Have it come up a little bit, where it's going to hit the ball a little more solid when it comes through it. So hit stop, press spacebar, and there it goes. And you're going to get different results depending on what your requirements are. You'll have to keep playing with it. And you don't have to use a cylinder. I just happen to use one. You can use a ball. You can use a box. Doesn't matter. The point is, it's got to be kinematic on that cylinder. Kinematic hits dynamic. Dynamic moves. Okay. Dynamics will follow the contours of that ball. So I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to put the ball back, or the cylinder back, close to where it began the first time, which was like up here. Press the space bar. I'm going to get a different result. See? As it comes down to it, the ball is going to skitter across the land, and then it's going to stop. And then if I take and switch cameras, go back to the linked dummy camera, you'll see it happen. I'm going to take the cylinder now. I'm going to turn it into a dummy so I don't see it. The ball's still going to take off, and the camera's going to follow the ball without spinning. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Very simple process. Someone had asked me about this some time back, during a class I was given, and they're busy, so they haven't come back for it. Maybe they'll catch this on YouTube, and hopefully that'll help anybody that's got a question on following a camera or having a camera follow. Remember, the camera is linked to a dummy. The dummy does not move or rotate, or it moves, but it does not rotate or scale. The scale doesn't matter, but I do that so that the ball doesn't rescale back up to the size of the soccer ball. It's a tiny ball I've got in there. Soccer ball is the actual physics prop. This is a dummy attached to it. This is the cylinder that kicks it. This is a plane that's the ground, so that you can see it move across the ground. This is your infinite plane underneath. And if you move the plane out of the way and you go to the infinite plane, you can hit F. And there's your infinite plane. Press Control D to find it. And there's the cylinder that does the kicking. So we'll turn everything back on, turn the plane back on, and we can also just turn off the infinite plane so it's out of the way. Link to dummy, hit stop, turn the physics off altogether. I'm not going to do any. Press spacebar, and the ball still kicks. There you go. Any questions? That's all I can tell you. Cricky, out.